Adam Schwarz is the author of A Nation in Waiting, a former McKinsey consultant and a longtime observer of Indonesia with close connections to former and current government officials. The Jakarta-Post Yerika Lai, Ina Parlina, and Tama Salim sat down with the seasoned Indonesia observer and CEO of Asia Group Advisors to discuss President-elect Prabowo Subianto's top priorities and how the country may position itself amid rising United States-China tensions.
Well, again, I think this is an area where we have probably less continuity, right? In the sense that, as we were talking earlier, Jokowi is kind of more of a developmentalist, domestic-focused leader. Prabowo, I think, both by upbringing and interest, has an interest in playing a role in the global stage. That's kind of at the individual level. At a foreign policy level, Jokowi continued Indonesia's tradition of basically a fundamentally non-aligned posture, pursued, I think, what he defined as effective arm's length relationships with both China and the U.S. I think with actually a good degree of success. And I think Prabowo, again, at a foreign policy level, will continue to do the same. I think that's been a kind of a long tradition in Indonesian history. That said, we are entering, I think, what is fair to say, the global geopolitical landscape is getting more complex. And maintaining that sort of equal arm's length relationship with both superpowers is going to become, I think, more challenging, right, going forward. So again, that is perhaps less an issue for a Indonesian foreign policy decision and a little bit more driven by how to respond to what happens between U.S. and China. The kind of the more challenging that rivalry or competition becomes, frankly, the more challenging it is for everybody else to figure out how to situate themselves in relation to those two superpowers. Well, I think it's fair to say that from a U.S. foreign policy perspective, the U.S.-China relationship just sort of gradually takes on more and more importance and takes up more and more oxygen in the room, to use that expression, right? And therefore, relations with everybody else become a little bit dependent on or derivative of that U.S.-China focus coming out of Washington. I think Indonesia actually has quite good relationships with both Washington and Beijing. I think there's a lot of recognition in Washington of the important role that Indonesia plays, the good progress it's made. But there is, again, as I said, increasingly things get filtered through a U.S.-China relationship lens as the U.S. thinks through its relationships around the world. And that will be true for Indonesia as well. Obviously, it's helpful and advantageous for both countries to have ambassadors in place, to progress the bilateral relationship. So, I think there's a hope on both sides that gets remedied sooner rather than later.
Does the U.S. view